Hello everyone, my name is Michael and welcome back to the Sovereign Gaming YouTube channel where I build worlds, lots, and add in some of my thoughts on video games that I enjoy. I'm very excited to start reviewing the next Sims 1 expansion pack because this was the point in time where I actually made the decision to purchase The Sims 1 as a kid, and I also feel like Hot Date serves as an expansion pack that really established The Sims 1 as a true powerhouse franchise. Like all expansion packs, some people like Hot Date, others could do without it. For me, I think that it was just brilliant, and not just from a nostalgic perspective as well, but from its impacts it had on the current Sims 1 franchise and future franchises to come. The only question that I have when it comes to looking at Hot Date's features is whether or not its gameplay and concept are overrated as opposed to being underrated. As mentioned in previous episodes, I will be looking at the following criteria and scoring it out of 10 based on my opinion and playing experience. That criteria includes the concept, gameplay features, impact on the current franchise, in this case it's Sims 1, and impact on future Sims franchises. Based on those scores, I'm going to throw each of these games and expansion packs on a tier list at the end of the video that I have created. And today we are going to cover the Sims 1 Hot Date expansion pack, and I plan to really put a microscope to its gameplay features. So let's get into its concept. It would be another 7 to 8 months after the release of The Sims 1's House Party expansion pack in March before Hot Date would release in November of 2001. How many house parties were hosted between March and November in Sims games worldwide, we'll never truly know. But the fact remains that there was a significant piece of gameplay that players were missing, and that would be the ability to take their Sims off their residential lots. That was really the basis of the concept for the Sims 1 Hot Date expansion pack, that players can take their Sims to the franchise's first ever community lots and have a night out on the town. The Sims Hot Date uses romance as part of its concept theme, and I think that it works pretty well because it plants a seed in the players' minds that a reason why they would go to downtown is to take their Sims out on dates and such. Makes sense to me. Besides, adults were really the only life stage that had significant gameplay in the franchise, so it makes sense to create a concept based on the single life that adults could really take advantage of in The Sims. Now granted, single dating life has never played out in real life like it is presented in the Hot Date expansion pack, but we're not here to complain about modern day society. Another concept that was marketed to players was being able to build your own community lots such as restaurants, parks, and shops. Since this was the first expansion pack to introduce community lots, the concept helped to generate a lot of excitement around there being a lot of things to do in the downtown area. Furthermore, I think that the timing of Hot Date couldn't have been better since House Party, Living Large, and the entire Sims franchise at the time were, I hate to say it, but approaching their shelf lives. And Hot Date really helped to refresh the franchise and establish The Sims 1 as the next big swinging franchise in the gaming market. Hot Date didn't just time itself perfectly for Simmers getting bored of The Sims. Its concept also birthed the formula that would be used in future franchises, which I will touch more on later on in this review. For that, I am going to give the concept a 10 out of 10 since the concept truly changed the way the simming community looked at the franchise and it reignited their passion for it. But is the concept supported by the gameplay? Well, I definitely say yes to that. Since The Sims 2, EA and Maxis has struggled to get restaurants right. In The Sims 1 Hot Date, restaurants were done right, speaking to the fact that sometimes the gameplay that players want has already been done before. EA really doesn't have to reinvent the wheel when it comes to giving players a feature that they want. They just have to get restaurant gameplay, including hosts, waiters, and chefs working properly and giving the players the ability to customize menus. And this isn't necessarily a dig at The Sims 4. EA couldn't get restaurant gameplay right in The Sims 3 either. Okay, the rant is over. Anyways, the idea of shopping was also introduced in The Sims Hot Date, and it wasn't just trinkets. There were clothing stores that players could purchase to change the clothes on their Sims. I want to make a correction from my last video before I go further, where I said that it wasn't possible to change your clothes in the base game. I am made aware now that you could actually change clothes in the base game, so just want to apologize for that slight little misspeak there. Anyways, another really important aspect of gameplay that really doesn't get discussed was the idea of empowering players with more storytelling options within their own game. Had YouTube and gamer creators been a thing in the early 2000s, you can bet that Simmers would have been storytelling and creating content based on The Sims 1 without being a retro game channel. Now, I'm not trying to give credit on a hypothetical here, but Hot Date really allowed Simmers to storytell within their games more realistically. For example, if two adults are having a really great date, then maybe one of them proposes at a fancy restaurant. That kind of storytelling wasn't available until now. And why storytelling is important is it helps to keep your players playing your game. All in all, Hot Date really delivered on the concept it presented to players and so much more. So when it delivered on its concept, it really added in the gameplay that players were missing and they enjoy. So I'm going to be giving it another 10 out of 10. And where it gets really interesting is Hot Date's impact on the rest of the Sims 1 franchise. So let's move into the next section. The Sims Hot Date did a lot of things for the Sims 1 franchise that no other expansion pack was able to achieve thus far. It not only single-handedly refreshed and gave a new outlook to the Sims 1 franchise as a whole, but it more importantly gave the Sims 1 franchise an expansion pack formula to follow. And this formula would continue to be used in future franchises even up to The Sims 4. But right now, we're just talking about Hot Date's impact on The Sims 1. And that formula that I was speaking about before really just involves using a loading screen to take players to a new destination or sub-neighborhood so that players could then access new gameplay features. This formula was so successful that it was repeated several times throughout the franchise, giving way to some of the best expansion packs I have yet to cover in this franchise. Those expansion packs wouldn't be possible without Hot Date being successful in delivering a formula that they could follow. This formula breathed new life into The Sims 1 as a franchise, and it all started with Hot Date. Furthermore, The Sims Hot Date changed how players played their games, and it also helped Simmers realize what could be possible in The Sims 1. Had Hot Date given the players more clubs and bars as dedicated lot types, it would have been the urban-themed expansion pack to beat from future franchises. But before we get into that, I would rate Hot Date's impact on the current Sims 1 franchise as a 10 out of 10, since it quite literally changed the game on the gameplay and on a community level. And it gave players and developers a reliable and predictable format to deliver new gameplay on. It was well done, to say the very least. The Hot Date formula, as I am referring to it now, also held a huge influence over future Sims franchises. If we look at The Sims 2, for example, it is nothing but a franchise that uses the Hot Date formula to introduce new gameplay within its gameplay. In my opinion, The Sims 2 and The Sims 4 is nothing but loading screens. Next, if we look at The Sims 3, the Hot Date formula can once again be seen in expansion packs like World Adventures, University, and Into the Future. And of course, The Sims 4 does nothing but use the Hot Date formula to introduce, well, any kind of gameplay, I suppose. You see, this format was really one that was used multiple times for future franchises, and it is frequently requested and considered by the Sims community when it comes to introducing new content into a franchise. As such, Hot Date's influence cannot be denied based on the formula it introduces alone. Another aspect of influence that Hot Date had over the future franchises was introducing the idea of urban gameplay. Every future franchise of The Sims has had a downtown or urban-themed expansion pack all about taking Sims into the city. There were even console spin-offs like The Sims in the Urbs or Bustin' Out that all used urban city living as their backdrop theme. I wanted to point this out because urban living or city living themes serve as a very comfortable space for Maxis and EA to develop Sims games around. But it was The Sims Hot Date that started it all, and it delivered on the gameplay experience that players were expecting, being that there were restaurants, shopping opportunities, and opportunities to really take their Sims out of the house. So for its impact on future franchises, I am indeed gonna give The Sims Hot Date a 10 out of 10 in this category as well, since I think that the formula it introduces and the urban themes it presented still persist within all Sims games to this day. And by that I mean all future franchises as well. I'm sure you guys already know, but after adding up all of the scores, The Sims Hot Date gets a perfect 40 out of 40, putting it in the perfection category. I keep mentioning it, but the formula and format that it introduced into the Sims 1 franchise and gameplay to match is hard to deny, especially when looking at how it has influenced future franchises and interpretations of urban gameplay. If I took The Sims Hot Date to 2023, it would just need some specialized lot types that cater to real bars and clubs for it to be one of the best, if not the best, urban expansion pack across all franchises. And perhaps even expanding the sub-neighborhood as well would probably go a long way. And a lot of it would really be due to the restaurant gameplay that we are missing in The Sims 3 and The Sims 4. For me, Hot Date was a turning point in the Sims 1's franchise that established the franchise as a bigwig or a big dog in the video game industry. Maxis was playing for keeps, and they held no punches when they decided to give players the ability to let their Sims out of the house that they have been partying in for the last 7 months or so. I get that urban environments aren't everyone's cup of tea. Quite frankly, when I get to The Sims Unleashed, I'm really gonna have to give it credit where it's due because playing with pets is just not my cup of tea. But just because something isn't my cup of tea, it doesn't mean that it isn't high quality. I felt this time that Hot Date was high quality. When I was a kid, I wasn't convinced that I wanted in on the Sims series because even back then I saw how claustrophobic the game felt. When The Sims Hot Date hit the shelves in November, I knew exactly what I wanted for Christmas, and it near about froze off my nuts delivering newspapers in winter to pay for the rest of the franchise. I knew then that Hot Date was just the beginning for The Sims. If you enjoyed this review and my thoughts on The Sims 1 Hot Date, then feel free to leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Helps me to beat those algorithms and help to grow this channel. But furthermore, I just want to take a moment to really say thank you for watching, and that you are more than welcome to share your own thoughts and stories with The Sims Hot Date in the comment section below. Up next, I'll review The Sims 1 Vacation expansion pack. I guess we shall see how well they executed on the Hot Date formula that I discussed throughout this interview. So we'll just have to see how I end up scoring it then. Anyways, thank you again for watching, and have yourself a wonderful day.